Hi everybody, and I just want to go through some basics before we start the class. Just remember to look at the syllabus and check the dates. If you have any questions about the dates, please message me on the Kakao group chat or message me via my email address that's in the syllabus. And if you haven't already, please check which Google Classroom you need to be signed on to. The passwords are there. If you need any help with the Google Classroom, please again send me a message using Kakao Talk or ask another student who's already signed on to Google Classroom. If you go onto the website, it should help you give you instructions about how to sign up for the class. Another thing you need to make sure that you get done is to be on the IQ Online practice. This you can find at the front of your book, the first 2 pages. If you follow the instructions there and sign up for my class, you can see on this slide here the class codes that I've recommended for you to join. Please make sure you join the right class, because I'll need to check to see whether you've done the work that I've assigned you through this website. This is the schedule for 003. There will be this won't be the complete schedule. If you have any questions about that, you need to contact me. As you know, due to the coronavirus, the schedules had to be changed slightly this semester, but if you just check through there, that'll give you details about the midterms, the projects and the finals. And if you have any more questions, as I said, contact me. This schedule is for my 023 class. Again, as I said previously to the other class, look at there for the midterms, the projects, the finals and other relevant dates. If you have questions about holidays, contact me. And this one's for my 029 class, and again all the dates are there, midterms, finals, projects, and as I said, any questions, contact me. So this is also the schedule for class 026. Check the midterm dates, the final dates, the project dates and other dates that are relevant to you, and let me know if you have any questions. If we haven't done the midterm already, if this class is before the midterm, please make sure you understand about the role plays for the midterms. Here's the slide for that, and there's lots of information there, and I think it would be good for you to remember that everyone should be involved in role plays, whether it's for the midterm or not, that all students should participate thoroughly in that role play. So these are the what you need to study for the midterm and the finals. If we haven't done the midterms yet, please check units 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can see the pages that are required on there. So unit 1, for example, has a vocabulary questions from page 7 and grammar from page 20. The finals, if we've done the midterm already, don't forget the finals cover units 5, 6 and 7, and also the pages are there. If you have any questions about unit 7, because it's been blanked off there, let me know, but you should find those on my PPTs that I send via the Kakao open chat. This is a reminder about the project work. It's got the link on there. Actually, I've sent you the same slide to the Kakao Talk chat room, and I think if you just go on to the project project table, which is on my Google Drive, and you can find more information about the projects there. Don't forget to work as a team to try to meet the deadlines, which are on the deadline pages, the schedule pages of the slides. So good luck. So let's start the lesson, and this is a picture of David Bowie. So last semester many of my students wanted to know a little bit about British culture. So I wanted to talk about David Bowie because basically David Bowie is a British singer. He's actually English, but his real name is David Jones. And his family originally came from Wales, which is in the United Kingdom. But he was born in London. He's got a Londoner's accent, and he's well known for his music, but he's also been in a lot of movies as well. So he had a lot of music out in the 1960s and 70s, but his music continued right up until his death in 2016. And the reason I chose him is because he's actually one of my favorite artists. He's a very, very controversial character. A lot of people didn't like him because of some of his strange ways. But I recommend some of his songs, which I think are really fantastic. He brought out, I think his early songs, I actually like his early songs the most. And so one of his early songs is called Ziggy Stardust, and Starman, and Life on Mars as another one. He basically, his style, I think, would be kind of punk, early punk. He was born in 1947, and in 1962 he began to form his own style of music. So he was only 15 at the time, and he formed his first band at that age, and the band's name were the Conrads. He played rock and roll at different events, including weddings, and I think it was in 1967 that he started to get a little bit more popular, and he had a solo single in 1967 called The Laughing Gnome. And then in 1968 to 1971 he began to form more of his very unique style of music. So his album then was Space Odyssey in 1972, and he had a kind of very unusual look about him. And also he had an album called The Man Who Sold the World, and it was about sort of mental health problems. He just got involved with other musicians from America, so Iggy Pop and Lou Reed were really inspirational to him, and so he brought out an album in 1971 called Hunky Dory. Then he did like the Ziggy Stardust stuff from 1972, which is kind of a little bit more glam rock and a bit strange. And then in the 70s, mid-70s, his style changed to kind of plastic soul and a bit more surreal. Anyway, he basically just changed his style through the years, and I want you to just go and listen to him and see if you can appreciate his music. So go on and listen to his music. He was also in a lot of movies, and he acted quite a bit. and some of his movies are quite famous. He was in Labyrinth. He was also in a movie called The Man Who Fell to Earth. He was in a movie called Prestige. But his Labyrinth and The Man Who Fell to Earth were his most famous movies, I think. Anyway, I kind of recommend you learn a bit more about him. So this section's about nutrition, and this is a movie clip from Lady and the Tramp. If you can go to that link somehow. And in the movie, it's a Disney movie about two dogs who fall in love. It's really sort of cute and romantic, and it's for children, really. It's a children's movie. And there's one scene in the movie when the two dogs go to an Italian restaurant, and they order some pasta, and the chef makes them the food, and it's a sweet little scene about romance. You can see there's it's a candlelit dinner, and I think you'll like this movie. I think it's a very sweet movie. I recommend you go on and watch movie clips about Lady and the Tramp. And there's two versions of the movie. There's one version that's from it's very old movie, 1955. So there's one that was made in 1955, and then there's a new one that was made in 2019, and in the original one it's all animation, and it was Disney's 15th movie, and the other one is sort of a Disney movie again, but it's live action, so they use a lot of computer graphics. Both of them really have music in it, and it's just they're quite sweet, really. I recommend the first one. I haven't seen the second one, but it's probably just as good. And yeah, it's just about romance, but there's an element about food in there, just in the middle. Just to see that bit, I recommend that song. Here's another film about food. This is called The Founder. This film is all about McDonald's and how they founded McDonald's. It's a good film. It's got Michael Keaton in it. He's like a very good actor. I kind of like him. And anyway, this is about how they started the business in America. And it's a kind of comedy drama. It's a biographical comedy drama. I personally hate McDonald's food, but I don't mind the breakfasts, and obviously they're really unhealthy. There's a really famous movie about McDonald's that we can talk about later, where people try this experiment to see if they can live off McDonald's. But I don't recommend living off McDonald's. It's a very unhealthy kind of food. So anyway, if you can, watch some clips about that. Watch the whole movie if you want to, and enjoy that film. So this is the first thing I want you to do is work in your teams over the internet, or any way you like, or just do it by yourself. Make a mind map of food labels. So maybe there's food labels that you do understand or you don't understand, but food labels are kind of important, and you need to know exactly what you're eating. So they're called nutrition labels, and they can help you choose between products and keep a check on the amount of foods you're eating that are high in fat, salt, and added sugar. Do you eat a lot of salt? So the labels will help you to decide if you're having a balanced diet. So for a balanced diet, you need to at least eat 5 portions of fruit and veg every day. You need some starchy food, potatoes, bread, rice and pasta. Or carbohydrates, you also need some dairy or dairy alternatives, including yogurts, soya milk. You need beans, pulses and fish, eggs and meat for the protein. This is very important. And you need unsaturated oils and spreads, but only in small amounts. And you need plenty of fluids. It says the government recommends 6 to 8 cups of glass or glasses a day. Whoa, that's quite a lot, so you need to drink a lot. And that's really important, that when you choose the labels, so look at your food labels and mind map all the aspects about food labels. So the things that you find in the food labels, you need to sort of perhaps look at them and study them a bit. And you need to just understand the facts, like there's serving information usually in there, the amount of calories, the nutrients, and a quick guide to your percentage. Okay, so the serving information tells you how many servings there are and what size each serving should be. So just look through them and try to understand the servings and the nutrition benefits of each of the foods that you eat, and make a list about them. In this activity, I want you to choose 2 types of food and then make some sort of choice questions. So for example, you might want to choose, in that picture you can see burgers or pizza, and you can say questions like, what do you think is more delicious, burgers or pizza? What do you think is less delicious? Some other foods, apples or bananas? What do you think is the healthiest, watermelon or French fries? So you can make a number of questions here. This is just a bit of practice with the question, what do you think is more delicious? What do you think is the most delicious? What do you think is more healthy? What do you think is the most healthy? Or what do you think is healthier? Or what do you think is more what do you think is the healthiest? Okay, that's probably the better grammar. And then you can choose 2 of those and try to make some sort of questions there. It's a real practice about making these questions, okay? And also using vocabulary about food. Once you've made the questions, you can sort of message each other and just ask each other these questions, or phone each other up, or ask a friend, or ask one of your family members. It's sort of practice the questions and write down your answers, and perhaps make some answer sheet or something. Just be creative with that, okay? Okay, let's go to the book now, and the first page is page 102, and there's some discussion questions here. So questions in the discussion section here are: number 1, which is more important in the food you choose? Flavor, cost, or nutrition? Why? Well, to be honest, for me, flavor is really important, because I love chocolate, sweets and candies and things like that. It's not very healthy. But what about you? What is the most important thing? Flavor, cost, or nutrition? If it's flavor, then maybe you would choose more salty and sweet things, and you would get your happiness from that. If it's cost, maybe you would buy cheaper food, like you'd go to kimbap restaurants and just eat kimbap every day. If it's about nutrition, then you would look for fruits and vegetables and making food that is healthy, and things like kimchi. Let's go to question 2. Scientists have developed ways to genetically modify plants. What do you know about genetically modified food? Honestly, I don't know a lot about genetically modified food, but I know that somehow they are able to make the food better using science and somehow modifying the genetics. I don't know how they do it. It's difficult to say because I'm not a scientist. but there must be some way they bioengineer the foods and they make it more delicious. I don't know the truth behind it, but some people say it's fine, there's no risks, but other people are worried about the health risks. Question number 3. Look at the photos of the fish farm. Would you prefer to eat fish raised on a farm or fish caught in the sea, from the sea? For me, it doesn't matter, but I can see why people prefer fish farms, because fish farms are seemingly safer than seemingly safer than the sea because of the pollution in the sea. So I kind of feel like a lot of people these days, especially Koreans, might prefer fish farms because of that. So let's go to the next page, page 103. If you can listen to the Q Classroom online and then answer these questions, you can see in the picture there, though, they look like Korean vegetables in the red containers. I could be wrong there, but on page 103 they look like Korean vegetables. So listen to the Q Classroom online, and then you've got some questions there from Felix and Marcus, and then you can go to there's some words here from the vocabulary: deliberately, in your face, palatable, and stimulating. So palatable means having a pleasant or acceptable taste. So when you're listening to that, listen also for the vocabulary there. And let's go to the next page, on page 104. This is all about this is like a checklist, and it's a list of the foods that you buy and eat frequently. Okay, so if I look at this list, I'll tell you the ones I buy and eat frequently, the ones that I do eat but not frequently, and the ones that I never eat. So I love bread and I eat that every day. I eat that and buy that every week. I eat and buy milk every day. Sometimes I drink soda, but not often. Meat, sometimes I eat meat. Rarely do I eat rice, but I do eat it. Pizza, I'll only order it if I'm with friends. I do like to eat tinned tuna, so I do eat fish, but not regularly. Every day I eat breakfast cereal. Sometimes I eat chicken. I try to eat fresh food every day. I don't eat a lot of vegetables, honestly. I do eat potato chips on occasion. I eat too much, way too much chocolate. I don't have frozen meals because I don't have a microwave. Sometimes I have canned soup, maybe twice a week. I do eat ice cream now and again. I don't eat a lot of beans, but I will eat them. Don't eat a lot of fast food, but sometimes I go to McDonald's. And I don't usually eat any energy drinks, but I drink coffee at times and tea. So what about you? If you could answer those and discuss this together. Do you know how these foods are created? Are any of them all natural? Which foods do you think have added chemicals or are genetically modified? And I think a lot of the, like chicken for example, might be genetically modified these days. So work through that list and discuss that with people over the phone or on Kakao Talk. And let's go quickly to page 105 before we finish this part of the lecture, video lecture. So this is note-taking skills. In order to remember most of what you hear, it is a good idea to review your notes within 24 hours after a lecture. As you read your notes, annotate them. Add notes to a text giving explanations or comments. Underline or highlight key ideas. Cross out information that isn't important. Use the extra space on the paper to add your thoughts and make connections between the lecture and information in your textbook. Use a dictionary to look up all new keywords with the definition or translation. Make notes about what you don't understand so you can ask your teacher later. Add a short summary of your notes. So here's a lecture. If you listen to that on IQ Online, and then you can edit these notes which are here. Okay, use those tips from part 1 to 5. And then review your notes. Okay, so if you can do that using IQ Online, thank you. This is a kind of game that you can do with some of your friends in the class. It's called A Day in the Life of. And in this game you need to make a schedule for a team member. Then they need to guess what they did all day. So you kind of plan a schedule. So what did they do at 9 AM in the morning, 11 AM, 1 PM, 3 PM, 5 PM, and 7 PM. So in this activity, for example, if I was to make a schedule for one of the students in the class, I might say, so 9 AM, I might say, they were on the bus coming to school with a friend. And so I want you to think about where they are, who they're with, and what are they doing. Okay, so this student would then need to ask questions, usually yes no questions. So they might say, am I with my friend? And so the answer would be yes, you're with your friend. And then they might want to know location. Am I in Busan? No, you're not in Busan. Am I in Seoul? Yes, you're in Seoul. Am I in the school? No, you're not in the school. Am I at my home? No, you're not at your home. So then they keep asking yes no questions, and then they need to guess where they are, who they're with, what are they doing. Okay, and you can do that for all of them. So 11 AM might be in a lecture with their classmates and the professor, and they're taking notes. 1 PM might be in Burger King eating a hamburger with their friend. 3 PM might be I don't know, in the movie theater watching a movie alone or with their friends, and etc. So you can just plan a schedule for them, and then they need to guess by asking yes no questions to work out what they're doing that day. This activity is about junk food. So in this activity you need to choose the junk food and then write 3 or 4 things about it. So for example, I might choose pizza. Pizza's a kind of junk food, so I want to talk about pizza, and I can either research the internet about pizza, or I can just talk about pizza. So I can talk about the restaurants I know in South Korea that are famous for pizza, and there's lots of famous really good pizza places near my house. There's Bonnie's Pizza, and there's all sorts of pizza places. So, and we could talk about the history of pizza if you want to. So there's a long history of pizza, isn't there? And pizza, it's, well, some people think pizza comes from ancient times using flatbreads, and there's also some types of food that are like pizza but don't have any toppings in history, and there's I don't know, maybe people say that the word pizza was first documented in AD 997 in Italy. That was the first use of the word, so it goes back over 1,000 years. And so you could talk about the history of pizza, you could talk about the best pizza restaurants you know in Seoul, anything. So 3 things. You can say, oh, it comes from Italy, there's many good pizza restaurants in Seoul, including Bonnie's Pizza. The topping is always very delicious, it's got tomatoes and vegetables and other things like that. And you can, what else could you say? Chicago pizza is my favorite type of pizza. You can talk about your favorite types of pizza. Okay, so choose a junk food. So there's lots of types of junk food, isn't there? I mean, pizza's not really junk food. I love pizza, I don't think it's junk food, but you know, there's all sorts of junk foods out there. So junk food could include candies, donuts, chocolate, burgers, cakes, snacks, anything with a lot of sugar and fat and not very good for your diet, you know. And so that's what you could talk about if you can, or write down, and then share that with your friends and your class, and you know, compare notes if you like. Okay. Okay, so this involves a group activity. You are a team who are trying to sell a food product. Decide what your product is and design a label for it. So these are the questions I want you to ask yourself as you design this food type. Okay, the first one is it genetically modified? Do you have additives for flavor? Do you have representatives, preservatives, sorry. Do you have preservatives so it doesn't rot? And are you going to be honest on the label if these things are true? So work as a group, and this is kind of a group work thing, so you need to sort of set up a cacao group and talk to one another about this and arrange for yourselves to talk about these criteria. And basically it's kind of a task that you're doing. So I guess what I want you to do is also make some diagrams and pictures and just sort of work on a kind of poster-like form or a brochure so that you can tell me about that and present that to me. So yeah, try and do that and make sure you focus on that. So think about presentation, think about your language, your grammar, your vocabulary. Try to make this poster in a way that will be sort of aesthetically pleasing and easy to read for others so that other students can see it. And when you bring the poster in and put it on the classroom wall, everyone can have a look and see what it's like. And yeah, so think about that. Okay. Also, as you design your product, I want you to think about these kind of questions. The first question is, how did you get to sell this product? What led you here? So you can make a kind of backstory, like focus. It's obviously not true, it's a fictional thing, but I want you to think about how you got to sell this product and what led you to sell this product. Think about a backstory leading to this. What makes your product different? So there's a lot of competitors perhaps in this market, and how are you going to stand out from them? What are the factors about this product that are different to other products on the market? And this is, don't forget, this is about food. So for example, McDonald's is a burger chain, so is Burger King, so is Lotteria, but they are different and they have some really distinct features about them. What makes them different? Okay, but in your product, what makes your product different? If you're selling a yogurt, why is it different from other yogurts? Okay, and then what's your goal? What is your business goal here? What is your intention? Are you going to expand it globally? Do you want to focus on your values? Are you going to try to make it, are you aiming at a certain market group? Think about the goals that you have around this product. So then how will you distribute your product? What will you do to distribute your product around the world or around Korea? Are you going to, what's the logistics of distribution? How are you going to get it to other people? Are you going to use supermarkets? Are you going to open your own store? Are you going to sell it on the streets? How, or is it just online shopping? How would you distribute this product? And here's one about samples. Everyone wants to know that what they're going to buy is healthy or it tastes good. Or so do you have any samples? So when I walk around the supermarket, they often have samples and people can try all sorts of different foods there. Do you have any literature for the prospective buyer that explains the product? So this is where you can make posters or leaflets or even make movies and video clips to help explain why this product is different to other products, what is good about this product, what is the taste, how healthy is it, these kind of questions. So that's kind of key too. How can this product help the person that you want to buy the product? And so maybe a leaflet or even a booklet or anything, or a website. So here's another question. How much will it cost to make and how much will it cost to buy? So this is your revenue, and how much revenue do you expect, and what are the costs, and so therefore what is the profit? Think about what the costs are. Do you need a factory? How many workers do you need? What kind of resources will you need? Will you need milk if it's a yogurt? What will you need fruit if it's a fruit flavored yogurt? So think about the different resources and the costs that it has. And the last question, how can you promote this product? Which ways would be good ways to promote this product? And think about promotional material, maybe advertising, leaflets, having a stall in a supermarket to give samples, that kind of thing. So the next three slides are about comparative forms of adjectives and adverbs, and this is a grammar rule that you can find on page 118 in the book. And comparative forms means that the word will change, and you have to be aware of how it changes. So if we go to page 118, you can see that in the brown box it gives you an explanation. Comparative forms of adjectives and adverbs compare two things or actions. The rules for making comparatives are similar for both adjectives and adverbs. So first of all, there's the condition on one side of the table: one syllable adjectives, one syllable adverbs, one syllable adjectives ending in E, two syllable adjectives ending in Y, most other adjectives, all other adverbs. Okay, so if you can see, for one syllable adjectives and one syllable adverbs, the rule is to add er, and they give you two examples there: older and faster. For one syllable adjectives ending in E, you just add r. For example, nicer. Two syllable adjectives ending in Y, change the Y to an I and add er. Healthy becomes healthier. Most other adjectives and all other adverbs use more or less before the word. More interesting, less naturally. So the only time a two-syllable adjective uses an er at the end is when it has a Y. Okay, so here's some adjectives which take either er or more. So sometimes they can be both. Narrow becomes narrower or more narrow. Simple, simpler or more simple. Quiet, quieter or more quiet. Gentle, gentler or more gentle. Handsome, handsomer or more handsome. So there's some interesting, all of those are two-syllable words: narrow, simple, quiet, gentle, handsome. Okay, so they have both. And so you have to look out for these really strange ones. And the next part is, some adjectives and adverbs are irregular. This means the comparative adjective and adverb forms are not based on the base forms. So for example, good becomes better, not gooder. Well becomes better. Bad becomes worse. Badly becomes worse. Far could be further or farther. Little could be less. To compare things or actions, use the word than after the comparative adjective or adverb. Vegetables are healthier than junk food. Many people are concerned about eating more healthily than they were in the past. So using than when comparing with others. So if you can go through these activities, the first activity is missing words. I think if you can see that there are some missing words there, and so let's start with those. So the first question says, what do you think is, and there's a blank, the apple or the banana? And I guess you can say, what do you think is the most delicious? The most delicious. So delicious is a two-syllable word, but it doesn't have a Y, and it's not one of those unusual ones there, so you can add most. the next question is, what do you think is, and then there's a blank, Lotte Tower or 63 Tower? What do you think is the most, what do you think is more taller? Doesn't make sense. What do you think is taller, Lotte Tower or 63 building? Sorry, I should go back to the first one. What do you think is more delicious, not most delicious, because we're doing comparatives, okay? So what do you think is more delicious? Who do you think is, Robert Downey Jr. or Tom Cruise? Okay, don't forget we're using comparatives, not superlatives. When do you think is the time, in the morning or afternoon? What animal do you think is the a turtle or a snail? So look at those questions and try to answer them yourself. Some more grammar activities. This time you need to correct the errors in this. So let's look at the first one. The turtle is more slow than the cheetah. Well, slow is one syllable, okay? So it's definitely not adding more. More is for those who have two or more syllables, right? So you'll need to change that. This mountain is tall than the other mountain. Well, tall again is one syllable, so what should go there instead of tall? This woman is more beauty than the other woman. Beauty. Okay, well that's not really an adjective, is it? Beauty is a noun, so what is the adjective form of beauty? The older surfer is best than the younger surfer. Best is superlative. What is the comparative form? This couple have been married long than the other couple. Long is a one syllable word. How can you change that to an adjective? And the last one here, this boy is heavy than the girl. Heavy is two syllables, but it's got a Y. So what does that become? Here's another activity about grammar. This time it's about underlining the comparatives. So look through the sentence and see if you can underline the comparatives. I'll read them out and then you underline them or write them down. My horse is faster than yours and my dog is stronger than yours too. So don't forget, comparatives have er or the word more or less in them. Okay? My father has a better can than yours and my mother is taller than yours. My father has a better can than yours and my mother is taller than yours. Better can, I think that should be car. Let's go to the next one. I have been at my company longer than you have and I get better pay than you. My holiday was more relaxing than yours and the hotel was more expensive. So underline those comparatives on that one, okay? Now we're going to talk about music and movies related to the topic. So the topic is about food, and so I chose some movies that you can look at which are about food and some songs, okay? So the first movie is a movie called Julie and Julia. This is a very nice movie with a famous actress, and I forgot her name, but anyway, it's a true story about a famous TV chef, and it's about a woman who writes about her in her internet blog and then makes a book. It's got Meryl Streep in it, Amy Adams, Stanley Tucci, and it's a nice drama. It's a comedy drama. It's very fun to watch. It's quite relaxing. And the other film there is Ratatouille, which is a Disney cartoon about a mouse who's a chef in France, and of course he's not really a mouse, he's a rat, and people think, oh, he's unclean so he can't be a chef. It's a cute film, obviously it's not reality, but it's a very nice movie and I recommend that. The next movie is one called Delicatessen. I believe it's a French movie about food, and I love French films. There's another French movie called Chocolat, and it's about chocolate. And if you like to watch movies about these things, then I recommend these films, that you should watch them. Super Size Me is a documentary about unhealthy lifestyles, and if you watch this movie, it's a really good one. I recommend it. And Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is a cartoon which I think is really fun. On the other side, you can see there's some music that I've talked about, and they're just songs with food referenced in them. I've never listened to any of these actually. I'm not interested in music about food, but here I think might be just some interesting songs to look up. Hot Burrito by the Flying Burrito Brothers. Eat It, I've seen this one. It's kind of a comedy song. It's a like parody of Michael Jackson. Peaches and Cream by Snoop Dogg. I like rap. Birthday Cake by Rihanna. And the Banana Pancakes by Jack Johnson. So have a listen to those, watch those movies, review them if you want, tell me what you think of them. So this is the end of the class, and make sure that you try to eat healthily this week. Be more healthy in your food, or healthier in your food. Thanks for listening.